Before I welcome Price Thomas to come up and talk to us some about City of Promise and the beginnings of this wonderful partnership that we're forming, I found some words from Dr. King that I think fit so well what the spirit of the work that City of Promise does, spirit of this partnership that we are forming. This is what Dr. King said. He said, "The universe is so structured so that things don't quite work out rightly if people are not diligent in their concern for others. The self cannot be a self without other selves. Social psychologists tell us that we cannot truly be persons unless we interact with others. All life is interrelated. All people are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny." Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Well, folks, I'm so excited to welcome Price Thomas back to our sanctuary. Price, I think, was here for the Social Action Collection, I want to say maybe last August, not sure which month it was, doesn't matter. And after I heard Price talk, I didn't know a lot about City of Promise. I was like, that sounds pretty interesting, all the work that they do. So we talked some after the service, and that led to breakfast, and that led to then me going over to City of Promise for another one-on-one with Price. And he's been telling me about this pilot program that they've just recently launched, that he's going to tell you about, that I think, quite frankly, is a really good match for a church, and especially for this church. So with great joy and no further ado, Price, come on up and tell us all about it. Price Thomas.
Can I walk around with this? Is this gonna? I don't want to tear up your whole thing. I'm just like I don't want to,
If you want to walk around,
Wow.
please do. There you go.
Oh, excellent. You don't have to clap for that. Thank you guys. Again, that's like a very generous and kind of a tough intro. I'm not quite that quotable, but I'll do my best. Thank you guys for having me. And my name is Price, as Tim mentioned. I was raised here in Charlottesville, so I did all my schooling here in Charlottesville. The short context is I left to see the big wide world. I went overseas. I went as far as actually southern Turkey. Came back to kind of do the next thing. Ended up marrying my 9th grade homecoming date, and I know, right? And so we are here, and we're raising our children here. And I say that to give the context for why I do the work that I do and why it's really important. And part of it is because it's the right thing to do, and part of it is because I'm from here. I grew up here. I see a lot of myself in these folks and these kids who I have the opportunity to work with every day. So I grew up in Charlottesville. I grew up in Fry Springs. I grew up doing all the things you do as a kid. You know, you ride bikes around, you do this, you do that, you try your hardest to sort of like get kicked out of school and all this stuff. And what I realize in our work and what I've really learned from what we're doing at City of Promise, and if you guys don't know, at City of Promise, essentially what we do is we are trying to make a positive impact on generational poverty through what we would consider child-centered, dual-generation family self-sufficiency work. What that means is that ultimately our outcomes are child-based. But to do that, for those of you who, I guess we were all kids, but for those of you who have kids or are around kids a lot, the influence of the parents, the influence of the community and of that social network is absolutely critical. It is the largest single influence in a child's life. So the focus is on the kids. But to do that, we have to create what we've called a constellation of care that exists around these kids. And so I think about that a lot in my life and a lot of the ways that affected me as a child. We view education really as one of the strongest drivers of what we see outcome-wise, right? And for us, education is a social issue. It is not a singularly school issue. And I say that because what we know is that we've got extraordinary gaps in education, particularly among minority kids and kids who are living in under-resourced areas, right? We see at Trailblazer Elementary, formerly Venable, right, the reading level for our black students is about 22%, for their white peers is about 90%. So that means really one of two things. It means that the teachers have lost the plot, which I don't think is the case, right? And I'm biased. Both of my parents and my wife and both my sisters are teachers, but there's a little bit of self-preservation there. But I think in general, right, teachers are being asked to do an untenable task, and they're asked to do a lot. I think they're doing it really well. I think they're underpaid for it. But what that signals to us, and if you combine that with the understanding that children spend a vast majority of their time outside of a school building, how are we resourcing those areas? What are you going home to? Right? The student who goes home, in our case, into West Haven, 10th and Page, and into these under-resourced neighborhoods, are often going home to things like single-parent homes, food insecure homes, right? People that are on the verge in and out of eviction. What are the workforce development opportunities, right? My daughters never have to say, my house got shot at last night, right? These are real things that these kids are bringing to school with them and expected to learn like their peers. Okay, I'm getting there. So the reason that this is pertinent to all of you, other than being pro-social and lovely folks, is that what I thought a lot about recently, and particularly with my children, I'm very lucky. I have both of my sets of parents are here. We have sisters and brothers. Their aunts and uncles are nearby. Is the amount of leaning into I can do, we can do, into this extended family, right? Into an extended network of people who are able to help me as a kid, and also my two children have access to things that they may not have otherwise, simply by nature of having two busy full-time working parents. And so when we think about, you mentioned transportation, and some of these what we'd consider non-monetary barriers to a variety of experiences, often what we find is, a good example is we have a mom who works 8 to 4 in Fluvanna County. So how does she get her kid to school if there's no bus in West Haven? How does she get that kid to soccer practice at 3:30 or a cello lesson at 4? All of the things that I'm certain we were able to give to our kids, that I'm able to give to my kid, that matters. That matters to how you show up in school. It matters to your opportunity. It matters to the height of your horizon. So we're piloting a program right now called Nurturing Neighborhood, and what essentially its intent is to surround a family with 6 or 7 volunteers that can be committed to providing a variety of things without really asking too much of any single individual. Nonprofits are very, very guilty of finding 1 or 2 good volunteers, making them do 35,000 things. Some of them, right, and some of them not even useful, right? It's like, you can clean out this closet or trim my hedges, and like, does that fundamentally move forward our mission and our work? So what we really wanted to do was do 2 things. Make sure we're not overextending any single person, but make sure it's meaningful and we can provide a tangible benefit to our families. So we would say, hey, we're going to surround Tim's family with 6 people. Maybe on Monday, you just have to grab them and bring them to tutoring. And on Tuesday, I can take them to his art class. And on Wednesday, right, we can all of a sudden facilitate all of the things that we think he should have access to and allow mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, whoever the main caretaker is, to do what they need to do. Maybe they have to work longer hours to make money. Maybe they work far away and are trying to get home and do their best. So this is intended to provide essentially a remade extended family network where one might not exist for our families. And that's something that, look, even me, who I was raised by 2 hardworking educators, I wouldn't have had the opportunities to do even what I did without my aunt, whose house I'd spent every day after school at, without my grandmother, who I remember would take me to soccer practice twice a week. I had, that gave me access to a lot of things that I think ultimately were important to, whatever you think I'm doing right now. So what we are asking, what we're piloting is essentially that. What we're asking for is the commitment as it stands looks like, 2 hours a week, maybe an hour a week, right? Depending on, what you feel like you want to do. For some, it's transportation. We need someone who can help this kid get to Dardentown because he's got soccer practice at 4. Some, it's mentoring. It's just having other people in your orbit who can help be there when you need someone to be there. Some, it's after school activities, right? The way after school works, we could talk about this more later, but it's expensive and the slots are limited. So can we put these kids into things? Maybe you have a specialty. Maybe you're a woodworker. Maybe you're a cellist. Maybe you have a thing that you would like to share with some kids. Great. Scoop them on Tuesday. Off you go, right? Sometimes it's as simple as like, we just need someone to help mom, whoever the main caretaker is, because she gets home, she's trying to facilitate 3 kids and cook, and anybody who's had more than 1 child, first of all, why did we do that? Second of all, it's hard even when it's good, right? So it's little pressure valves in a lot of these places and trying to think holistically about that, right? So We are in the works, and I've spoken with Tim a lot about this, of making sure it is easy and accessible on your end. But what I want you guys to really understand is that has an outsized impact on our end, right? That hour put together with 5 other people's hours covers a ton of ground, okay? There isn't meant to be any monetary commitment to this, right? We're not saying, hey, you got to, fund this kid through. All of that stuff comes from us, right? So if you have a kid that says, hey, he really, really wants to take cello lessons, we say, great, we can pay for it. Can you take them on Wednesdays? That makes a huge difference, right? And so for us, being able to lean into communities, being able to lean into people who are looking for ways to get plugged in, but haven't quite sorted out a way to do it efficiently inside of your own busy lives, this is a way to have a huge impact without, taking too much of you guys obviously being whole people and having other responsibilities. So that's that.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So Price is going to stay for lunch. And if any of you would like to speak with him to learn more about the program, please go. And if you are interested in being part of a UUCville team, or I could even say teams, contact me, tim@uucharlottesville.org. Price, I think, was telling me before the service that they've got the program rolling with one family with a team of volunteers, and they are ready with 1 or 2 more families. And City of Promise, of course, is in relationship with the community, with these families. So I'm very honored, Price, that you and City of Promise are having faith in us to do this work. I can commit to the fact that we'll do it, and we will most assuredly follow your lead and your guidance, and just thinking, and we're about end of time, so I'll keep my remarks limited. Yay! The times we're in right now, I think it's fair to say that for the next few years, we're going to be experiencing a love and kindness deficit in our communities, nationally, even internationally. That's something a church can make a difference with. It's not big. It's not, taking to the streets in DC. We might do that too. This is a tangible, relational thing we can do. We can be in relationship with people who could need a little extended family. I'm ready to be a uncle, auntie. I think that would be kind of cool. So I hope that those of you who are interested, and again, the idea of doing this as a team is so wonderful, because yes, if I was asked to commit to what might be 5 days a week sometimes, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, I just cannot swing that. But doing it as a team, and we've done this, right? We did this with the Ghaznavi family through International Rescue Committee. We knocked it out of the park. We're still in relationship with that family. So we can do this. We've done it before. So I hope that those of you who are interested, even if you're not quite ready to commit, if you're just interested, talk to Price, talk to me. And if you are interested in being part of a team, reach out to me, let me know. And Price and I are going to be in conversation about how we'll get started. What we're talking about and what they've done with their first family is they've invited the team members to get together at dinner with the family. Break bread together. What a great way to start. We're going to do that in a few minutes, right? We know the power of sharing a meal. So that's how things will start. So be in touch with me. Let me know if you're interested. Talk to Price after the service. And together we can make a difference, and we can really put the love that is in this room and at the heart of this community into action.